And our kicker is a serial killer.
Man, place kicker's got to be the funniest position in sports, right? The NFL's all about sizable men running full speed into each other on purpose. Then, right at the end, a little fella runs out with a single bar face mask and mismatched shoes to decide the outcome. Now, I get it, it's the QB league, but it's also football. Foot's right there in the title. So what happens in the kicking game is not going to stay in the kicking game, and we'd be having very different conversations this week without the rangy performances of football's red-headed stepchildren. The story right now would be Burrow's Bengals losing another Week 1 game, so thank goodness for them, Browns kicker Andre Schmidt brownsed it up and missed an extra point and a 35-yard field goal. Aaron Rodgers was great on Sunday, but so was Justin Fields. The real difference was the Jets fumbled a kickoff and missed an extra point. Meantime, the sky'd be falling in Pittsburgh right now if Chris Boswell hadn't made 60 and 56-yarders. Lots of people are rightly giving Josh Allen his flowers after Sunday night, but it was Buffalo kicker Matt Prater, who looks kind of like a singer who made a country music top 40 hit in 1998 and is now making a comeback just after a show at the Best Western in West Lafayette where they paid him in beer, is the guy who really saved the night, whereas Ravens kicker Tyler Loop missed an extra point. How much did they lose by again? And the arrow would be pointing up for Caleb Williams and not J.J. McCarthy if the Bears kicker Cairo Santos hadn't shanked a 50-yarder, whereas Vikes kicker Will Riker drilled a 59-yarder. My point being, I know it's the QB league and all that, but all the points matter, even the extra ones. So we can celebrate the QBs, but toast the little fellas too. At least the ones who are good. Sorry about that. Let's start the show. Yes, hi and hello, my fellow football Americans. Today's episode of Football America is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Episode 7 of Football America, getting you right for Week 2 with Jordan Schultz and my mom. Meantime, best number 7 in NFL history, Boomer Esiason, at best, the third place finisher here. This one comes down to Elway v. Roethlisberger. Who you got? Your best survivor/suicide pick going into Week 2, Ravens over the Browns, laying 11.5 is Baltimore. Game they have to have. I don't see any reason why Cleveland would be a viable upset pick there. My Super Bowl 60 pick is still the Bills and Niners, although I am very worried about the San Francisco plague of injuries continuing into 2025. However, the odds on that Super Bowl are now down to plus 3,500. Thank you to all the patriotic football Americans who've already subscribed. Spread the good word, would you? The Fuentes brothers have the con in Miami, or should I say Mike Fuentes does. Gino just left sick. Your old pal Dave is here in L.A., but first we've got a special guest sitting in on the Black and White News, the host of the Schultz Report, co-host of Why is Draymond Green Talking About Football? It's Jordan Schultz. What's happening, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk Seahawks Steelers.
Oh, we're going to do that in just a minute, but first we got the news. Big spot, Bradley.
Yes,
here we go in New York, the Black and White News. Take it away, fella.
Thanks, Dave. Well, when it comes to kicking, there has been plenty of fallout across football America. In Cleveland, the Browns kept kicker Andre Schmidt despite 2 missed kicks. But New York, the Jets cut wide receiver Xavier Gipson, who fumbled a kickoff. And while the San Francisco 49ers survived, kicker Jake Moody did not. The Niners replaced him with Eddie Pinheiro, as reported by one Jordan Schultz.
Yeah, a real plague with the kickers and a big range, like I talked about at the top of the show there, of, some guys making 60-yarders and other guys not able to make extra points, and it really swung the results of Week 1.
Football American Ryan Clark was back in the news. Folks made hay after this comment he made to his fellow ESPN commentator, Peter Schrager.
But the thing is this, though, and we shouldn't do this on TV, and so I apologize if people think this is rude. That's the non-player.
Oh, stop! CeeDee Lamb is.
Let me tell you why.
Lot of reaction to this. A lot of people ascending up to Mount Pius to look down on Ryan Clark, saying this, and this is off of him earlier in the week saying that Tom Brady and Drew Brees aren't generational talents. I agreed with that. If you want to go back and listen to the monologue from earlier this week, I address it. This was a big dust up as well. Jordan, I start with you. What did you make of this as a guy who, like I mentioned, does a very popular podcast with Draymond Green? You just sat down with AJ Brown, by the way. Track that one down. Dynamite stuff with Brown. Where do you come down on this? But you didn't play the game argument.
See, I actually thought Ryan's point was quite good, but it gets clouded by the fact that he essentially says to Peter, you don't have a seat at the table because you didn't play. I'm somewhere in the middle. On one hand, I understand where a player who played in the NFL as long as he did with the success he had, and Ryan Clark would say, you have to have played the game at some position or at some level and had some level of success to have a seat at this table. And in Peter's defense, who I know, I feel like Peter has a great understanding of the game because of, hopefully like me, he's talking to a lot of really good people that understand it better than him, and that therefore informs his opinion. That's what I've always respected about Peter, and I think he definitely belongs at the table. So it's somewhere in between. Kevin Durant once said something like, if you can't make, what was the line, 10 straight elbow jumpers, then we can't have a conversation about basketball. And I actually tend to agree with that on some level. I was fortunate enough to play 4 years of college basketball, and I always felt like it informed me a lot when I talked hoop. Because I didn't play football competitively, there's absolutely no way, Dave, that I could break down X's and O's the way that someone like Ryan can. But I'd like to think that me or Peter, because of the opportunity to talk with much smarter people, are able to have an opinion different than someone that did play.
I mean, obviously, like you, while you were a college athlete, I was not a college athlete. I peaked as the 13th man on my high school basketball team. But to your point, it did give me a different level of understanding of the X's and O's of that sport. I say all the time, on one hand, you need Jordan and you need Dave and you need Pete Schrager and everybody else who didn't play the game, because otherwise it's the same energy that you see on the Millennium Falcon in the first Star Wars movie when Kenobi and Skywalker are talking about the almighty force, and Han Solo weighs in to say, wait a minute, I've been from one end of the galaxy to the other. I don't know anything about this force. That's our role. We're Han Solo in the conversation. Sure. Yeah. We're the skeptic for the vast majority of the audience. That said, the Jedis or the football players or basketball players do have an insight that we don't have.
Of course.
So, of course, I think it's fair, and I think people so offended up on Mount Pius on behalf. I'm a non-football I'm a non-playing football talker. I sat out on NFL Network stage once, surrounded by Hall of Famers, and Charles Woodson, I made a remark, and Charles Woodson said, and I thought he was kidding for a second, then I realized he wasn't kidding. He said, I don't even know what you're doing here. I mean, that maybe is too far, maybe too far. And Mo Dameshek, who we'll talk to later in the show, was very offended and dropped me a line in the commercial break. And I told Charles that, and he backed off very quickly and made a public apology. But anyway, too much getting offended by everything out there.
Right. Both sides can have informed opinions, and that's what is great. You have two different opinions, two different landscapes that come together and create some really fun debate.
That's right. That's the whole point. Do you remember the popularity of the radio show Mike and Mike? That was all about. That was the structure. That was the whole thing for 20 years. Yeah. You're a dumb jock, like you're a nerd, back and forth. Anyway, Bradley, set us up.
In Miami, the Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel is always looking on the bright side of life. After an embarrassing Week 1 loss, he responded by saying, quote, "I don't see how it could be worse, but it can always get worse." Even rational Dolphin fans are wondering if McDaniel will even make it through the month.
This is obviously the very rash talking point after the hammering that the Fins took in Indianapolis. Jordan, what insight can you provide us about the actual buzz that may or may not exist about any intent to replace McDaniel if this thing continues to go in the wrong direction?
Yeah, Dave, I thought that was as unprepared as I've ever seen a week one NFL team. I was shocked. And I was also one of the belief that felt Miami going into the season was going to struggle. But to be that unprepared and that just out of it, like it looked as if they were playing two different sports. Okay. And if you're Mike McDaniel, the offensive wonderkin, this guru, to not have your team ready to play. And Indianapolis, by the way, isn't some juggernaut either. On the other side, I will say this. We had the opportunity to go sit down with Daniel Jones 2 weeks ago, and I've known him quite well since his rookie year. And it was far and away the most relaxed and confident I've seen him and experienced him. He just felt to me like a guy that was not angry, but like really ready. And that is a lot. Yeah, that has a lot to do with Shane Steichen, who obviously did wonders for Jalen Hurts in Philly. And subsequently, as this is his year 2 with Indianapolis, Daniel Jones played a great game. And I'm not saying that he's going to do that every week, but they did something that's never been done. They had 7 straight possessions, all touchdowns, all 7 possessions. He was terrific. And that's actually the Daniel Jones we thought we were going to get in New York. And subsequently as well with Russell Wilson, 17 to 37, 168 yards. QBR was like 25. I don't think Russell Wilson's a bona fide starter anymore, but I also know that you can't win when you're not protected. And he wasn't protected, and neither was Daniel throughout most of his tenure in New York. So looping all the way back to Mike McDaniel, that will not be tolerated. At the same time, you mentioned Draymond. Draymond's quite friendly with Stephen Ross, who owns the Dolphins. And I asked him this question yesterday, and he said that one of the things about Mr. Ross that he knows quite well is that he is not going to jump to conclusion. And I said, well, he probably basically should have fired them already before the season. Like those were the 2 guys I felt like, those 2, and then Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, who were really close on the edge. And so I would say, yeah, Mike McDaniel is the leader in the clubhouse to be fired if you're looking for a coach. If the odds, first head coach to lose his job. But at the same time, I don't think they're anywhere close. If they lose to New England and they look bad, I don't think he's getting fired.
Well, you mentioned Dable, and that would be the other guy. Probably that would be the 1A who's more likely to not finish out the season. My hypothesis is, and tell me if you think this is right, I think that people say, why wouldn't they be playing Jackson Dart right now? Because the more you can kick that down the road, the more time it buys you as the GM and head coach, right? Like if Jackson Dart started in week 2 or in week 1 and fell on his face, well, then the era is over. Like, okay, this has been a bust with Brian Daboll. We have to move on. At least there's the carrot of we have to see what the kid has first. So the further he can extend that, the better for him, right?
You know what, Dave? That's why they pay you the big bucks. Because I'm saying put the kid in. If you don't win, you're gone anyway. But that's a fair point. I mean, they have a tough schedule. They played New Orleans week 5. That's essentially the natural spot. But man, if you put Jackson Dart in now, he's not going to get protected. And until Andrew Thomas is back, that's the one thing they have coming back that can really help. Then yeah, I'd probably wait too.
Bradley, you got anything else?
Finally, in San Francisco, turf toes and hamstrings are creating openings for Mac Jones and Braden Willis. The backup and the practice squad player will step up in place of injured starters Brock Purdy and George Kittle. The news has already lit up the Football America Slack channel with one Mike Fuentes asking, how's that 49ers Super Bowl pick looking with Mac Jones under center at Dave Dameshek?
Well, we have 4 months to go, Mike Fuentes. I'm not overly concerned, but you did hear what I said. I do have some. I don't know what Kyle Shanahan did, but the football gods are clearly angry at the Niners for some reason. Jordan, let me couch it this way. I have the Jenga theory, which is that much like Jenga, if you pull out the wrong piece, every team's going to have injuries in the 21st century. But if you pull out the wrong piece, the whole thing will implode. It's too easy to say the QB. And with Brock Purdy now sitting down for the next, sounds like few weeks, and Mac Jones having to fill in. But is George Kittle the offensive Jenga piece for the 49ers? Is there a ceiling on how far they can go without number 85?
I would say Christian McCaffrey first and then George Kittle, just because we saw last year what San Francisco looked like without McCaffrey. He's so dynamic, and it's not just the running. It's you can throw the ball to him like he's a wide receiver, and he is he gets you out of so much trouble. And so we'll really see now, Dave, how good a coach offensively Kyle Shanahan is. And I think he's one of the best. But when you don't have a George Kittle, because he's really the 1B that you can't lose, and you don't have a Brock Purdy, now it becomes, how good can you make Mac Jones look? What can you overcome that maybe he doesn't have that a Brock Purdy has? And if you go back, 4 years ago, a lot of people thought maybe Mac Jones was the target, not Trey Lance. So now that he is there, and he certainly hasn't shown the ability to be a true number one quarterback, but ultimately, when you don't have your starter, let's say Purdy misses a month, you want to go 2-2 or 1-1. If Mac Jones can keep them in that vicinity, then I think they'll be okay. I think the NFC West is a really tough division, almost quietly, because I think the Rams are going to be terrific as long as Stafford's healthy.
And by the way, that's why I leaned hard into the Niners, because I thought that back situation with a guy Stafford's age, that ain't great. So, and that's still may be, just because he survived the first 60 minutes doesn't mean.
And I think Seattle and Arizona will both be competitive teams that can be wild card contention. So when you when you put all of that together, if Mac Jones can be adequate, I think defensively, they'll keep you in enough games where they can be 500. But Kittle gives them something that nobody else on that roster gives them, which is this behemoth freak, loves to block. You can line him up anywhere, and is a true tight end. Like, he is an old school throwback with new school skill sets. So they're going to miss him a ton. And I would argue that as good as Brock Purdy is, they'll miss Kittle even more. So there's a big challenge for Kyle Shanahan this next month or so.
Boy, that sounds like a hot take, but I kind of agree, because just as I have faith in KOC more than I do JJ McCarthy or Sam Darnold, same thing applies here. I think that he is going to more than be able to make do with Mac Jones. We know he coveted him at one point there. Hey, great job on the news. And I'm not just talking about you, Jordan. I think Bradley handled himself in a big spot.
Excellent.
Okay, good. We're in agreement there. He also likes Seattlers, at least from the Pacific Northwest, like you. So let's talk about that one. Seahawks, Pittsburgh Steelers. At the time of this recording, Steelers laying 3 total, a meager 39.5. I'll just say it out of the gate, 24-20 home team. How say you, Jordan?
So this is not a homer pick. It's not. But I'm going to let's go like 21-17 Hawks. And
wouldn't stun me.
I'm not just saying that. There's a lot to unpack from Pittsburgh Week 1 game. I was really impressed, actually stunned at how good Aaron Rodgers looked. I was blown away. It wasn't just the 4 touchdowns. I thought he looked really comfortable. I thought he stepped up in the pocket. And, I just wow. And on the other side, I didn't think defensively that they would look like that. Justin Fields was awesome. That's about as well as he can play. And that's a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. If the Jets get that, they're going to win 10 games. But you just usually expect Mike Tomlin defenses to be really prepared, especially like the first month of the season. He's awesome. So blown away by Pittsburgh's offense, surprised defensively. But then I also thought Seattle in many ways threw away that game at home. And I'd just be surprised if they go 0-2. At the very least, I like them covering that spread.
Well, you said a lot of good stuff in there. The thing that Aaron Rodgers said is the same thing that I was feeling for the vast majority of that game in New York or New Jersey, whichever one it was. All the celebration about the play action, gentle roll that he's made a career out of, a Hall of Fame career out of, I didn't think he was moving great. That's what Rodgers said, too. Now, the story is he maybe has a brittle back, which is what happens to guys that age. But this defense that they're going up against with Seattle is for real. I don't have to tell you, Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, that's a Mike McDaniel defense. Yeah, and they have players.
Yeah, and those big corners. Go ahead.
Yeah, the big corners are tough. Yeah, I would just say that the one X factor I loved from Pittsburgh was Calvin Austin. I talked to someone there that I really trust, and he said, look, everyone was asking who's going to line up opposite DK Metcalf, because once they traded Pickens, that was the big question, and understandably so. But Calvin Austin made 2 terrific plays, including a touchdown. I thought he was electric, and he's much different than Metcalf. He's like 5'8", 5'9". He's got a lot of slot stuff to him. He's physical despite his size. He's put on some muscle. They really, really like him. And I think they made that trade because they believe in him a lot. And as talented as Pickens is, Austin, I think, can give you a lot. So that was a big surprise for me, too. Not that he's not a good player. I just was like, wow, he took a big step. So if Pittsburgh gets that out of Calvin Austin, regardless of what happens against Seattle, then that's going to be a big difference for Aaron Rodgers.
By the way, interesting note, I'm sure you remember this. The last time the Seahawks paid a visit to Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson was the Seahawks quarterback, and that's when Roethlisberger hurt his elbow, and that began the Duck Hodges, Mason Rudolph, the whole thing that has led us to this point now. Very little's changed, except that Sam Darnold and Aaron Rodgers are now the quarterbacks of the two teams we're talking about. Before I let you go, Jordan, in a banner first go-round here on Football America, I look at Football America and the NFL cities within it, and each has a signature food stuff. I'm from Pittsburgh. I think people would probably look at pierogies or Primantis with the French fries and coleslaw. Obviously, Buffalo has its wings. Philly has the cheesesteaks, and so it goes. What is Seattle's signature food stuff?
It's Ivers. We got seafood, baby. We got clam chowder. We got our fish and chips.
But is it the creamy one, or do you guys go red base?
No, it's not the New England style. It's the unhealthy style with the half and half and the cream. It's not healthy at all. It's basically ice cream soup, but it's delicious and we love it. So that would be Seattle's like signature food at a ball game. You would get fish and chips, fresh caught halibut. Or cod from Alaska. That would be.
I like that. Ooh, get some vinegar on that. That's nice.
Oh, great. And a great little microbrew, maybe like a Mac and Jacks from Bellingham. We got great beers. That's what we bring to the table. Great fresh fish, great beer. You go to a ball game, you're in for a treat.
Wait, I hear Seattle is known for coffee, too. Do you know anything about that? Have you heard about that?
We are, but you don't want a coffee at a ball game. You're already revved up enough. You don't need any superficial energy. We got some good coffee. We do. But when it comes to the ball game, you want a cold brew and some fresh fish and chips. And I'm telling you, you'll be like, wow, I love Seattle. You got the Mount Rainier in the background. I mean, I should basically be a Seattle real estate agent.
Oh, man. A number of years ago, after you guys won the Super Bowl and had the season kickoff game the next September.
Yeah, 2013. Yeah.
The day before, I was walking to the stadium and I heard a cover band playing some Soundgarden. And as I got close to the stadium, I realized
it was Soundgarden.
That's not a cover band. That's Soundgarden running, doing their rehearsal for the next day. And me and three other people stood there and watched an all-time performance.
And I bet it was friggin' awesome. And
oh my God, it was the best.
I could go on about great things 206 in Seattle and P&W. The music is second to none, and Soundgarden is at or near the top of the list. Obviously, Nirvana, Jimi Hendrix. I mean, I could go on.
Oh, put Seattle on your bucket list, Football Americans. It is a must-see experience. It's one of the great in-stadium experiences available in pro football. Hey, Jordan Schultz, another great experience. Make sure you're checking out the Schultz Report and Why is Draymond Green talking about football with the guy we've just been yapping with for the last many minutes here, Jordan Schultz. Thanks so much for the time, and good luck on Sunday on the banks of the Three Rivers, fella.
My pleasure. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Hope to do it again soon.
Now it's time for this week's Pick Six segment, presented as ever by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. And Gino had a family emergency, as we say, so he had to run off there. Filling in for him, Ethan Badowski of The Hockey Show. You can listen to it every Friday on the Meadowlark Network. Thanks for jumping in here, Ethan. How you doing, Pally?
I'm very excited to be here, Dave. Very excited to talk some ball. I mean, need some more venues to get some ball talk off. So thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, there are balls in most sports, but as you may have noticed, your favorite sport has a puck, some frozen rubber. Maybe we'll have a chance to talk about that in a second, but let's get into it here. And you are filling in for Gino, and he is one half of the Fuentes brothers, who kind of serve as my angel and devil on my shoulder as we try to resolve all hash here. We'll get to the game picks in a second here. In the meantime, let's do the pick six props here and start it off with Travian Henderson. I think he's a good play for over half a touchdown, and not just because there's no such thing as half a touchdown. I think he's going to find the end zone against Miami this weekend. I'm going to start with you here, Ethan. Talk me into or out of that play.
I'll talk you into it all day. I had the displeasure of having to watch the Dolphins defense last weekend and suffer through that miserable experience. I would take anybody, especially a star, one of the guys that should be the feature of the Patriots offense, to score this weekend. I don't see how the Dolphins are going to stop anybody at all anytime soon.
Yeah, like I've been walking around the office all week here being like, every year there's a fantasy team, like a team in fantasy. You start every player you have against that team. The Dolphins are the team that year. Yeah. If you have a guy on the Patriots, I don't care what position he plays.
They're going to score.
You start that guy because he's going to find a way to give you a game, and Trevion Henderson, he's going to give you a touchdown.
Well, I don't know how much Mike Vrabel wants to react to what the media is saying after week one, but it does feel like a lot of people are pointing at, I thought you were a physical team and we're going to pound Henderson all season long. I think there's a chance that we do see that more in week two in South Beach. Next up, A.J. Brown, another big story for the lack of involvement in the Eagles offense and in the big win there. His receiving total right now, 65.5. Mike Fuentes, talk me into going over on that one.
I mean, you think because he didn't give you really anything in week one, they're going to make it a point to somehow not exactly force feed him. And I don't even think to really make him a focal point of the offense. You just think eventually he's going to get going. I don't expect for him to have 2 weeks where he's just not really a factor. So I know that the Eagles want to run the ball, but just from my gut feeling, I'm hoping for a shootout. I want that like Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes, classic shootout. And if to have that, I need Brown to have over 65.5 yards.
I mean, both Super Bowls that these teams have played have been high scoring, right? The Eagles scored 40 last year. They scored 30-something the first time they played. And this is kind of the A.J. Brown experience. Like, he'll give you a game where he has one catch for 7 yards or whatever it was last week, but then the next game he'll have, 12 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown or something like that. This is what you get with him. And more times than not, it's the better part of A.J. Brown. I think they do try and get him the ball a ton, and they need to try and get him and Devontae Smith the ball a ton because they didn't do it at all last week.
Well, like you say, I mean, that's been a part of this Eagles era is A.J. Brown doesn't get targets. Then there's moping, although there has not been a lot of noise that I'm aware of at this point. But nevertheless, I do think that they'll feed him quite a bit against a questionable KC defense. Josh Allen gets into the end zone once at least with either a rush or receiving touchdown. I'm going the way of the rush. Either way, Mike Fuentes, how say you? Talk me into this.
Okay, so Ethan was suffering this last week, right? He had James Cook in a league, and he's like, I need James Cook touchdowns. And then every single time it got within the 5-yard line, I'm like, dude, this is all the Josh Allen vanity project. There's no way he's not taking this in. And he did it twice, right?
Yeah,
twice last
I
game?
got vultured twice. One on a very long run that James Cook just got stopped like inside the 1-yard line. This is what they do. They get the ball to the 1-yard line. They give it to Josh Allen because they want him to score touchdowns.
Yeah, shades of old Cam Newton. I remember hating having D'Angelo Williams in fantasy, hating having Jonathan Stewart because like, oh, it's on the 3-yard line. There's no way Cam Newton's giving this ball. Same formula here.
So what are we saying here? We all agree that
everybody over.
Josh Allen is going to get into the end zone?
He's always scoring.
100%,
If they get inside the 5-yard line, he's in the end zone.
Yeah.
I mean, Ethan doesn't understand the drill here. He's supposed to go against you, Mike. But I agree that we're all in lockstep.
Angel Devil
here.
is next. Angel Devil's next segment. We don't have the hats.
I guess
yet.
properly, yeah. We're not
yes.
really doing that, but I want to see both sides of it.
You make good picks, Dave. What do you tell you? You make good picks.
Patrick Mahomes, he started out at 249 yards and a half was his total passing yards, but now it's down to 242 and a half. I like this play even more. Ethan, talk me into why the over is the right choice here.
Talk you into it. Okay, he went for 258 against the Chargers last week, and it just seems like Mahomes this year is going to have to will this team into the playoffs and go Superman mode. He's going to have to do it without any receivers, but if anybody can do it, it's Patrick Mahomes.
That's why I'm going the other way. Dave, you wanted it, you got it. I'm giving you the under because it's Hollywood Brown out there, Travis Kelce, and a bunch of guys I don't know. The lead receiver was a guy, I don't even remember his name. I think it started with an H, maybe a T. Hernan, you'll look it up. You'll find it out. But that way, this team, I don't think the Eagles defense is as good as the Chargers defense, but I think the Chargers will find a way to, not the Chargers, the Eagles will find a way to probably keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline a little bit more. They really want to work Saquon Barkley. You have Jalen Hurts, really mobile quarterback, way more mobile than Justin Herbert. And they just got Tank Bigsby. He might get some work, and I feel like you might see a lot of sideline stuff from Mahomes. So with all that put together, I'm going to say he's going to come in a little under. I think he'll break 200, but he won't get up to 242.
Are you thinking Tyquan Thornton?
That guy. Yeah.
I thought you were making a joke about something someone else there. Or were you? Anyway,
yeah, exactly. You got it.
I am going to play the over on this one. I hear your noise but only 6 out of 17 regular season games last year did he go under that number. Patrick Mahomes, I'm with Ethan, is going to have to carry more of the load this year, despite the lack of viable pass catching options. DK Metcalf looked pretty good in his debut with the Steelers. Now he's going up against his old pals from Seattle. Intrigue, rivalry, all that kind of stuff. I say he gets into the end zone for the first time as a Pittsburgh Steeler. How say you, Mike Fuentes?
Okay, I got to give it to the NFL. They know how to write a storyline. All right, we had Rodgers against the Jets week 1, and then we immediately have DK going, like having Seattle come visit DK in Pittsburgh. Whoever's writing the script, excellent job. That being said, I don't think they get surprised again on offense. I feel like the Justin Field running game gave them problems they weren't really expecting. Sam Darnold is obviously not going to give you that, so I don't feel like DK, while he'll get some touches, like we talked about this a couple weeks ago, the volume is there for DK, right? He's going to get everything he ever wanted in terms of volume, right. But I don't think they'll need to score as much to win the game. Therefore, we'll settle back into like this Mike Tomlin thing where I want to run the ball 1,000 times, and you're going to end up winning by like 3 points. It'll be like, 17-14 or something, and they'll win.
People do this a lot. That, well, they're going to be more run-based. That doesn't mean that they're only going to throw the ball once or 3 times over the course of the game. And so when Aaron Rodgers does throw it, the likelihood he's going to be targeting Metcalf there. I say touchdown. Ethan, how say you?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Dave, because last week they scored 4 passing touchdowns, and none of them went to DK Metcalf. I just think that's a guy you got to find in the end zone now, and they're going to be looking to find him. And I love a revenge game, especially for a guy like DK Metcalf with the way he plays the game.
All right, I've prattled way too much. This isn't on you, but let's round out our pick 6 here. I say James Conner finds the end zone here. Why? Because it seems like he does it in about 2/3 of the games he plays in. Ethan, how say you?
Carolina. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep.
Carolina.
There you go. Fuentes?
Yeah. James Conner, I mean, Benson's there, but he's the number 1 back. Like you said, two out of every 3 games, he finds the end zone. He's just going to find a way to do it. James Conner's still doing it. So me and Ethan have a team, Dave, I think you'll appreciate. It's a team called the All Still Doing It team. And James Conner's one of our starting running backs on that team. James Conner.
Wow.
So he's
pretty good.
Still doing it, yeah.
Derrick Henry
RBU.
made the team.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's a starter.
Solely because everybody decided Derrick Henry was done last year, and then we were like, oh, he's not done.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, RB1, James Conner, RB2.
Hey, well, I just said it. RBU is Pitt. They're at least in the conversation. 13-9, Shady McCoy did it to West Virginia. Let's hope they do it again this weekend in Morgantown. Let's now begin the aforementioned Angel and Devil proper here. We didn't do it necessarily, but we kind of sort of just did it. It was a little hors d'oeuvre to get right for the game picks here. Ethan, you take one side, Fuentes takes the other as I try to divine the right play here. And let's stay local for you guys. Patriots playing the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins laying 1.5 points, 42.5 is the total on this one. Fuentes, I start with you. What's your pick?
I'm going to pick the Dolphins here, and my only reasoning is it can't get much worse. It can't get much worse. At least you're at home this time, which I don't think you'll be too welcomed. We actually had a talk on the Le Batard show earlier this week on how many drives they get through before the boos come out, and I suspect 1 3 and out is all that's required. That being said, I don't think it could get much worse. But now that I said that, I'm sure Drake May will find a way to channel his inner Tom Brady and send the Dolphins home with their first home defeat in the season, and then Mike McDaniel's hot seat will be scalding.
Oh, it'll be bad if that happens. Ethan, talk me into the Patriots.
I have huge concerns about the Dolphins as a Dolphin fan. I mean, watching that game last week, seeing what Daniel Jones did, I think Drake May is a more talented quarterback than Daniel Jones, and I just think the vibes are so bad. Now you have 2 injuries on the offensive line. The Dolphins are going to be down 2 starters this week. I just don't see them writing everything in 1 week. And I just kind of see it snowballing here and getting out of control a little bit, and things could be done by week 5 all of a sudden. So I think it could get ugly for the Dolphins. I know the Patriots struggled week 1, but this is more about the Dolphins than the Patriots for me.
I hear you in big picture. I don't disagree that things are spiraling in a real bad way there. In the time being, they will stop the bleeding. 26-22. Miami's going to win that one. Next up, it's the Chargers and Raiders on Monday Night Football. A real beauty there. The Raiders laying 3.5, if you can believe it, total 46.5. Ethan, I'm going to start with you. Which is the right direction to go here?
I'm going back and forth here, but I'm going to go with the Raiders, Dave, because Geno Smith is dominant in domes, and this is a home game for the Raiders. And I also just I never trust the Chargers. I know they played great last week, and Justin Herbert looked really good, and he might play really good again. They always find a way to screw up just when you think they're finding their footing. I'm going to take the Raiders here.
Okay. I've always had a thing for the Chargers, and a small off-season signing that paid a lot of dividends down there in Brazil, and I think it's kind of underrated how much it does for Justin Herbert, was bringing back Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen, that safety blanket, was what he needed. Now he has Lad McConkey out there. McConkey's incredible. I love the lad. I love Lad. I love Lamp. I love Lad. I love Lad. I love Keenan Allen. I think that's like the perfect thing that needed to get the offense really moving, show a little bit of his legs. He might have to do that a little bit more. I am a little scared of Dome Geno Smith. I heard about that this week, but I think their defense is too good, and the Chargers are on the road. Dave, this is the year. You're going to be right about the Chargers. They're going to win this game 2-0 on their way to the AFC West title.
Keenan Allen, all still got it team.
Wide out too.
Well, by the way, don't sleep on Quentin Johnson, who had a nice game. He's had the drops for pretty much his whole career. But yeah, I AFC West intrigue, and really the Raiders should have been the other team, along with the Rams in Los Angeles, and the Chargers should have been in Vegas. It is what it is. I say the Chargers get this one 30-20 in a real big spot, because if the Eagles dump the Chiefs and the Chargers win this, they're up 2+ 2 games, 2 weeks into the season. Next up, Buccaneers, Texans at home laying 2.5, 42.5 the other Monday night game. By the way, I love the doubleheader on Monday Night Football. Fuentes, I start with you.
I really like the Bucs. I really like the Bucs. I think Egbuka is going to be amazing. Before I was like, Chris Godwin's still on this team, but after that first week of Egbuka, I think the passing attack is just amazing. You got Bucky Irving out of the backfield. Defense needs a little bit of help, but I don't really feel like the Texans have the weapons to do much about it. I do love a Nico Collins, but when it comes to their running game and CJ Stroud, man, he's on like this like regression thing going on. So I'm going to take the Bucs on the road, and they cover.
I think that was a tough spot for the Rams for the Texans against the Rams last week. The Rams look like a force on defense. Their defense looked really good against the Texans. I believe last year was a sophomore slump for CJ Stroud. I'm a big believer in him bouncing back this season. So I think he gets right here at home against the Bucs, who really kind of got away with one against the Falcons. They could have lost that game multiple times. I'm going to take the Texans here and ride on CJ and Nico Collins.
Big road win, though, for the Bucs.
The Texans defense is also mighty. They really shut down Matthew Stafford for the most part there. I say the Texans get this one in a game that they really need to have. You don't want to get into an 0-2 hole to come out of the gate there. Texans 24, dumping the Buccaneers 19. Let me very quickly blow through a few more games here. Lions get over on the Bears. Detroit is laying 1.5. Total is 46. 27-17. Detroit gets it at home. Giants are down in Big D to play America's former team. The Cowboys are going to win this one, 29-21. The Ivermectin Bowl, a couple of horses going head-to-head. Colts, Broncos. Broncos barely survived the Colts, 21-20. That means that they do not cover. And in the big one, let's talk about this one quickly. Eagles, Chiefs. Chiefs at the time of this recording laying 1.5. 46.5 is your total. Ethan, I'm going to start with you.
I'm going to go with the Eagles here. I'm a big Eagles guy, Dave. I love this team, and I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. Like, I think I get it. He's got a great team around him, but he does a lot of really good stuff for that offense that I don't think other guys could do. I don't like what I saw from the Chiefs at all. I think there's some bad vibes there. There were some guys arguing back and forth with each other, and I just really didn't like what I saw on defense. There were guys running open all night long. So I'm going to take the Eagles here. I think the Eagles offense gets going a little more than they did last week, and they beat the Chiefs.
I really think we have to remember Jalen Carter wasn't out there. I think we also remember why he wasn't out there. But for whatever reason, they will be different when the Chiefs try to run the ball at them there. I think that the Eagles, conversely, are going to make all sorts of hay against the KC run defense. I'm sorry, Fuentes, I got in your way.
I didn't really have much to say. I don't really like the Chiefs, but I also just can't think that Pat Mahomes goes 0-2. That would be a big shock. They just got a really terrible draw for the second game of the season. I know they're at home, but that Super Bowl matchup, we saw them get dominated before, and that's like when they were healthier, so it's tough to see it, but I just can't see Pat Mahomes going 0-2, but that's all I got.
I think you are going to see it by sundown on Sunday night. Eagles win it 27-24. New world order. The Chiefs fighting to get into the playoffs. Ethan, awesome stuff there. Mike, you had something more to throw out there?
No, I just don't have any faith. Like they're probably going to be 0-2.
Well, they are the world champs after all. It's not like I'm picking some ham and egg team to dump them in Arrowhead. It is the Eagles who shamed them back in February. I'm sure everybody remembers that. Thanks, Ethan. Dynamite stuff, pal.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you letting me be on the show.
Hockey show every Friday. Make sure you're checking it out with Roy, who backs the Florida Panthers. I get it, but of course, let's make sure we celebrate the greatest star of the millennium, Sidney Crosby, as the puck gets ready to drop in October. Let's yap again when the puck drop gets ever closer. All right, Ethan?
Sounds good. Sidney Crosby will be a Panther by that time, hopefully.
Don't talk. Don't see now he had to do that. What I think you really need is the Han Solo edition blaster, Ethan. You don't take a parting shot. It's enough with the acrimony. It's just football, everybody. You think one team's going to win, the other guy thinks another team's going to win. Let's bring a little joy to the proceedings, shall we? Joining us to do exactly that, the 2024 Family League champion. Yeah, we have a fantasy league. I thought it'd be fun to put one together for all the little kids, because 25, 30 years from now, they'll still hopefully have a family fantasy league playing against each other. But the person who won it just last year, my mother, Mo Dameshek, is with us. Momo, how are you?
Hi, Slug. How are you?
I'm fine.
I did win not because I know a lot about football, but because you and Amy and Benjamin and Zachary do. And you all tell me what I should do.
I don't know who all those people are, but anyway, yes, congratulations.
Anyway,
yeah. And I should point out, why do you I used to think that my mother called me Slug, like as in Lil Slugger, like a baseball guy. Why do you call me Slug?
Because it's your personality.
Thank you.
No, because there was a cartoon a long time ago, Nancy and Sluggo, and you look exactly like Sluggo. Exactly, you did when you were little.
That's not a compliment at all. But now you're upset with Oprah, my oldest child, because you rode Joe Burrow to the fantasy championship 1 year ago. And what happened in the draft this year?
Wait, you have told me you don't pick a quarterback until the 5th or 6th round.
Right.
All right, fine. I accepted that. Number 2, I've had Joe Burrow the last 3 or 4 years. We have been very happy together. One of my grandchildren, so one of my favorite people in the world, first pick, first round, Joe Burrow. No. And she wouldn't take it back. She laughs and sends me notes about him occasionally. She thinks they're very happy together. No, they're not. And I am not going to do well this year.
He did. Well, Joe Burrow did very poorly in week 1. So maybe the football gods weighed in on it.
Right. So Dak Shepard didn't. No, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's the football.
Not Dak Shepard. He's married to
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell, right? Yes.
Good. Dak Prescott didn't do that well either. And now this week I'm not supposed to win either, and I pay your sister. So I'm not happy, but okay. Anyway.
Well, good luck to you on that. Also, very important locally there is the renewal, the annual renewal of the Backyard Brawl. Pitt in West Virginia. We used to go to all the Pitt games, and Pitt was a powerhouse at the time. And so when they would score, or when the visiting team, like a sad team like Temple or Rutgers, would score a touchdown, the whole stadium would be disappointed, except for you, Mo. You would cheer. cheer. And I would say, what are you cheering for Temple for? You say, look how happy those boys are on the sideline. Nobody thought they would score, and now they did. I'm happy for them.
Right.
But
I'm not a simpleton. I just thought it was nice for them.
But there was an exception when West Virginia would come to town. You would say, don't even look at them. Those people are crazy from West Virginia. True?
Right. No, in football and in basketball, too. We didn't like them in basketball.
They drink whiskey. They drink whiskey before the game, and they're drunk. Don't say bad to them, David.
No, because you tend to talk.
Were they going to beat up a 9-year-old boy? That would be weird stuff. So the atmosphere should be grand for that one. I hope Pitt wins that one. What was sad, a way to start pro football, was Jalen Carter spit on not Dak Shepard, but on Dak Prescott.
Yes.
What were your thoughts about that? And more importantly, what do you think, as the mother of a grown man who once was air spat on? Like, the guy opened my door in rush hour traffic, and he spit, but he didn't put like actual spit. He did air. I felt the air of it. And we debated it earlier this week. Should I have gotten out of the car and taken a beating for that, or should I have waited for the actual spit to hit my head?
No, you never get out of the car to take the beating. No, that we know. No, you never put yourself in harm's way. No. You know what? I don't know I don't know what happened. I think perhaps Dak, whatever his name is, maybe spit first or did something that made him angry. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I didn't like to see it because I don't like spit. But as you know, with some of the former girlfriends and boyfriends of you and your sisters, when I say their name, I do say their name. So that's true. I got one to, cast aspersions on somebody else. I don't think he meant for spit to come out. I think it was just like I do.
Oh, I think he meant for spit to come out. In our fantasy league are going to be in Hines, or whatever they call it, the Acrisure Stadium, to watch the Seahawks. Nice. So that'll be good times. Before that, last question is, because I know you'll get right for the game by listening to this show, which you're now appearing on, and you'll hear our Seahawks Steelers pick and all of that. So let's focus in with one last thing. Make a pick here.
Let me just tell you one thing. I had to get rid of somebody on our team, and I picked up Curtis Austin.
Calvin Austin?
Calvin Austin. I don't know their first names. Okay.
Good.
I picked him up. Is that okay?
Yeah, he's the size of your average place kicker, but yeah, he looks like he's going to have a good year with old Aaron Rodgers there. Okay. Here's the question before we wrap it up here. Obviously you've listened to all the Football Americas, because that's what you do. Yes. And you have opinions on everything. Who would you say is your least favorite member of Football America so far?
No. I haven't listened enough. No one's offended me yet.
No?
No.
What do you think about Bradley?
I like Bradley. I like the black and white. I think that's very nice. I think he's a little detached from the rest of you, but that's okay. I like him. You know that. And
what about Mike and Gino? Who do you like better between the brothers?
No, I like Mike. I like them both. And I want to thank them. They've been really nice to you and welcoming to you.
She said Mike. She said Mike first. She said Mike first. Mike first. She didn't. She said Mike first. I want it on the record. Put it on the record, Ethan.
I have to tell you why Mike. Very few people share David's fashion for fascination with football gear. You do. So he has someone to talk to about the colors and the helmets and everything that goes on. So that makes me happy for him.
Mike Fuentes benefiting from my relationship and passion for talking uniforms with Mike Ryan. We'll let her off the hook. Take the wick. Take the wick, Mike Fuentes.
Whoever, one of the Mikes, whoever talks with you, him I like a lot. But everybody's been really nice to you. And again, you do great shows. You always do. I always agree. The best. You go on other people's shows. They're very nice.
I agree. A fan's a fan. What can I tell you, everybody? That's great. That's all right. Okay. But listen, you can see she's a ray of sunshine unless you cross her in fantasy football. Everything will be Jake otherwise there. Good stuff, Mo Dameshek. You know what? Let's start a new trend of game picks with guests. And very quickly, Steelers Seahawks final score.
Oh, Steelers Seahawks final score. I don't think the Seahawks are very good this year, so 34-10.
Whoa! Oh, the locals is gonna love it, dude. Aaron Rodgers, dude, 34-10. He beat Sam Darnold, not him dudes that come down from the Pacific Northwest. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go, and there goes Mo Dameshek, and here we go too. We appreciate Jordan Schultz and Mo Dameshek and Ethan Badowski for jumping in for Gino last second. We'll be back on the other side of week 2 to break it all down for you and try and make sense of it for you. Until then, thanks so much, football Americans. It's been a thin slice of heaven.